everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Cris and I have a special announcement. I finally hit my very first YouTube goal as a content creator. Woo, woo. And so that means it's giveaway time. This giveaway is going out to all of my current subscribers. It is because of you that I have made it this far. Thank you so much. And in order to enter the giveaway, I am going to be putting a word on the screen somewhere in this video. And so you'll have to watch the video, look for that word, and enter that word in the comment section to let me know that you would like to enter. This contest will run until Tuesday, August 20th at 5:59 p.m. And that way I will be able to announce that giveaway coming up on next week's video, which usually airs Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. This contest is available to my subscribers. If you live in the United States, then you will receive a $50 e-gift card to shop at unicorndustdesigns.com, where you can check out everything she has to offer: IOD products, DIY paint products, Roycycle decoupage papers, and other items. If you are outside of the United States, then you can win a $30 Amazon e-gift card. In order to receive the gift card, once your name is announced as the winner, and I will announce that on next week's video, then you will need to send me an email with your photo ID, and just sending me the photo ID will help me verify that it is you who won that is claiming the gift. My email address is always listed in my description box every week. That way there is no misunderstanding on what my email address is. But once I receive your email, I will then send to that email address your winning gift card. All of these details will be in the description box listed below. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'll be happy to answer those. And again, thank you to everybody who has helped support me. It means the world to me. And with all that being said, let's start the DIYs.
And I picked up one of these Dollar Tree signs. I really like these because they have the clips on the back, so everything is easy to remove. Don't have to worry about taking out any nails. And once you get those removed, and if you want to paint the frame, now's the time to go ahead and do that. And then I'm just going to remove these roses off of the cardboard backing. And then down the road, I try to remove as much of that paper as I can, just to make my scrapbook paper lay more securely to that. And then I've got this scrapbook paper. I picked these up at Hobby Lobby. And I just decided to have the lines going up and down, and I'm just going to trace that out on the back side and then just cut it on out. Next, I just want to make this as easy as possible, so I'm just going to take a glue stick and get that glue stick all over that board, covering it, make sure those edges are covered, and then I'm just going to press my scrapbook paper on there, making sure it's nice and straight, and then I'm going to take a brayer and smooth it out.
I'm going to set that aside to dry, and in the meantime I'm going to paint some beads. Okay, so I'm going to need 4 larger beads and then 8 smaller beads, and I just have the one size smaller than the largest of the two, and I want to paint the largest of the two. I'm just going to put them on a skewer stick. Now these are small enough that they fit on this skewer stick really tightly.
And then I'm just going to take the moss color from Waverly Chalk Paint, and I'm just going to paint those up.
All right, I'm just going to stick that in some foam, let that dry.
And then I've just got this fingernail file that I pick up from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to sand down all the edges, and just make sure when you're sanding you go in a downward motion.
I've just got some twine here, and then I've also got some of these leaves. They're little wood, colorful leaves. I picked these up at Hobby Lobby a few years back. However, I did see them there this year. So you can pick those. If you can't find any, you can always grab the little wooden stickers that Dollar Tree usually puts out and paint them. But I fell in love with these. So this is what I'm going to use. And I'm going to pull out, need 4 total.
And then I'm just going to take some painter's tape and put on the end of the twine just to make it easier to strand those beads. And then I'm just going to take one plain, one green, and one plain bead, and then I am going to repeat that for a total of 4 times. Next, I just want to go ahead and secure that strand to the board, and I'm going to do that by just taking some hot glue and gluing the 2 end pieces to the back. And I just kind of hold it up periodically to make sure it hangs like I want it to hang. And then I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and snip off the ends.
And what I'm going to do is put this back in the frame.
Now I'm just trying to figure out the placement of my leaves, and I just wanted to put them in between each set of beads, and that's when I realized I needed 5 leaves and not 4.
And what I am going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom of each of the larger beads, the underside, and tack it down.
And then I end up just doing this on the 2 green beads that are on the lower side. And then I'm just going to take some hot glue and glue those leaves on. And when I put the hot glue on, I try to just keep it on the twine. And an easy way to do this is you could always use a silicone spatula and just put under where you're going to be putting the leaves. Just slide it under that twine and then just put that. That way it still gives it the appearance that they're hanging. I didn't want to glue everything to the board because I didn't want to look like it was stuck in one place. I hope that makes sense. And then on my Cricut machine, I just made this Welcome Friends, and I'll go ahead and put the name of the fonts in the description box in case you're interested in making your own.
And there we have it. Isn't that so pretty? Looks high end. Looks like you bought it from a store, but it was so easy.
And this next project, you're just going to need one of these scroll signs that you can find at the Dollar Tree. They've got the little recipes on them. And I thought these were cute just the way they are, but I think we can make them look a little better. And it's got a perfectly blank size, so we're going to make this 2 sides. Now, I found the easiest way to remove these staples is to pull the string up. That way it kind of loosens those staples and then gives you enough room to get a staple remover under there. And then I'm just going to take my heat gun and remove that tag. And I'm just going to go ahead and use the walnut gel stain from Americana. I hadn't used that in a while, and it is one of my favorite ways to stain. But I'm just going to brush that on the piece and then wipe off the excess with a towel. And I'm not really too worried about getting it on the board, the long part of the board itself, because we will be covering that up. And then I realized, oops, I forgot to fill those staple holes. So I'm just going to go ahead and take some spackle and fill those. And then I'm just going to take a little scraper and scrape off that excess, making it nice and smooth. And then once that spackle's dry, we'll just proceed on painting. And when I wiped it back, I realized where I put the spackle that stain just really didn't stick very well. So then I just decided to take some more of the stain and I just kind of dabbed it on that spot just to darken it up and not wipe it back. And then once I got that dried with my heat gun, I just did not like that brown by itself. I thought it needed a little distressing, so I'm going to take the mineral color in the Waverly chalk paint and I'm just going to do a dry brush.
Isn't it funny how just a little bit of something can make it look completely different? Okay, the next thing I want to do is, you know how you have all those projects and you just want the frame off of the canvas frames, and you got all these extras, if you save them like I do. These are off of an 8x10. You're gonna need 2 of them, and I want to use this as the background.
So I'm just going to lay one piece at the top as close to that little wood strip that runs across the top. And then I'm just going to flip that over, trace out the excess so I know where to cut and trim.
Oh, and as far as on the canvas, I am using the back side of it.
And then I'm just going to do the same thing for the bottom one. And here I'm just trying to get an idea of how much overlap I'm going to need, or want, I guess you could say. And then I just downloaded an image off of Creative Fabrica, and I will post a link to that in the description box. And if you notice where the 2 pieces of canvas meet, you just want to make sure that the image part that you're seeing right here fits on that top piece, and it'll work out perfectly in the end. And then this image has multiple colors, so I did use a heat press and I pressed each layer out separately. As far as settings on my heat press, I used 315 degrees and I pressed it for, I believe it was 15 seconds each press. And I'm not going to bore you with each press, so I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward this.
I kind of messed up. This should have been a little higher, and that should have been a little lower.
So I just kind of ended up having to place that in between 2 spots. So it's a little tight in that area, but it still looks good in the end. But if I was going to resell this, I would use this one for myself and then pay better attention to that when I made some more. All right, once we got all that pressed, we need to adhere that canvas to the sign. And I'm just going to use some matte Mod Podge and just put a nice good layer over that. Because that material, that canvas material, is a little thicker than your regular fabric. So you want to make sure you've got enough adhesion to keep that down nice and sturdy. And then I'm just going to place that top layer down first, smooth it out the best that I can, and then apply some more Mod Podge to the bottom section. And I'm going to kind of go up a little bit onto the bottom edge of that top piece of canvas, just so that bottom piece of canvas, boy, having a hard time talking here, guys, but just so that bottom section sticks to that top piece. And then I'm just going to use my brayer, smooth it out, and go back and Mod Podge any layers that come up easily.
All right, I am going to let that dry overnight. Okay, we got this all dry. It's looking so cute. But now I've got to mask this line. What I was going to do was I was going to do like a button, make it look like it's fastened to each other. Then I got another idea. So I'm going to see how this looks. I've got these stickers, these jewel border stickers from the Dollar Tree. And I am going to paint one black. Okay, and I'm just going to use my Iron Gate from Heirloom Traditions. And the only reason I'm using this over any other kind of paint is because it's got a sealer in it. I don't feel like sealing my paint today, but if you use a chalk paint or something like that, definitely spray it down with like a clear matte sealer. Just something to protect that paint with.
And I did paint those beads, but then I realized I don't like this. So I grabbed some of these other beads, beaded border that the Dollar Tree has, and I used those. Paying attention not to get it on the little plastic strip that holds them together, because when you get that, it just looks a little tacky. Then for that little gap in between those 2 strips, I've just got a single one, and I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue on it and smack that down right in the middle.
Now I got to think of a way to hang it. And I've got some little eye hooks. It's an assorted pack. I think I got these from Lowe's, but it's a hook assortment pack. And it just comes in different sizes of these little eye hooks.
Then I'm just going to paint these using the same black paint. And instead of trying to hold those with your hands and paint them, grab some styrofoam and stick those eye hooks in the styrofoam. That way you can paint freely, and when you're done painting, they can dry. But before you paint those eye hooks, I forgot to mention, clean them up with some alcohol just to make sure you've got all your little greasy fingerprints off of there so that paint will adhere better. And once those hooks are dry, I am just going to measure 1 inch from the outside, and that's where I'm going to be placing those hooks. And when I go to put those hooks in, I just screw them in by hand. They go in that wood fairly easy. If you need to, you can always take a small drill bit and create a little bit of a pilot hole. That will definitely help those go in easier. Next, I'm going to be using some 4-ply jute rope, and I'm just trying to figure out right here how much rope I need. And I do this a little outside of the norm, the way I create this hanger, and you'll see. But it ends up looking good. First, I'm just going to take some glue and put on the ends of the rope just to make it easier to get in the eye hook. And then I am going to take the excess on each end, trying to make sure they're even. And I am going to kind of wrap it around itself, like twist it, and then apply some hot glue to hold it in place. And then I'm just going to take a lighter and burn off those excess hairs and melting down some of that excess glue.
And I think that is adorable. I love it. And it's reversible. So now they have cinnamon sugar recipe and a pumpkin pie recipe.
I found these 2 pumpkin containers at the Dollar Tree, and I couldn't believe they were only $1.25. They are excellent quality, just a little too shiny for my taste. And I'm going to go ahead and paint the outside of these. I am going to use the moss color and pumpkin color from Waverly, and I start out using a paintbrush. And I just didn't like the way it went on so streaky. So I switched it up and I decided to grab a makeup sponge. And that way I can just kind of sponge it on there in a pouncing motion. And this worked so much better. I can't believe I've not been doing this the whole time. Oh my goodness, it was so much easier. It went on so much smoother. And then I just dried those down with my heat gun. And now I'm going to take some antique gold rub and buff. And I am just going to apply that to the stems. Just kind of muting out that gold color that originally came on there. And I think this color worked out so much better. And after I applied it, I did go over it with a paper towel just to kind of buff it out.
That's the difference between the two colors. I don't know if you can actually see that, but that rub and buff color is definitely prettier than that gold. So, okay, so you're definitely going to want to seal these before displaying them or putting candle wax in them like I'm going to. And I'm just going to use a spray matte sealer by Rust-Oleum. Okay, so I've just got some Dollar Tree candles. I know you guys have seen this before. I've never done it, so I'm going to give it a shot since I don't have any wax. Going to need a bamboo skewer stick, a long one here, just so you can stir the wax melt in it. And then I've just got a pair of tongs. And of course, most importantly, we've got something to protect our hands. So I am going to heat this water up. I've got it on medium. Now it's a waiting game. All right, we are getting there. I'm gonna fish out my wicks. And I had ended up turning my heat down to like a medium low. And yes, this took a while for this candle wax to melt down, but it's getting there. I'm going to add my wax melts into each of them. And we'll let those melt down while it's still kind of getting some of the edges off here. Just let those wax melts melt. All right, so we got them all melted. You want to make sure you give them a good stir to get that wax melt blended in very well. And over here I have got my candle jars. I've already got them sealed. And then I've got these wicks out.
And I'm just going to dip the ends of the wicks, that metal piece, into the wax, and then just hold it in the bottom of the jars until that wax dries, just to keep the wick in place. Now, normally I would have used hot glue, but my hot glue gun is upstairs.
And then I've got a bamboo stick that I just broke. And that way I can just kind of wrap this.
And then next I'm just going to be very careful and pour that wax into the jar. And you only need 1 candle per jar. It's almost like Dollar Tree had a plan for us. And then I'm just going to let those cool down.
Okay, so got the candles all finished. I got mine a little off center, so don't judge me too badly. This one was closer. If I would add new wicks, I would have got new wicks to put in here, but I didn't have any. I didn't feel like running all the way across the other side of town just to pick up some. So it is what it is. Got to trim them 1/4 inch. And I did overfill one just a little so it won't close all the way. The other one actually was perfect, other than I got some wax on. But I think these turned out so stinking cute and so pretty. They look so high end. Each to have the candle wax, whatever paint you have on hand, and these little jars. So $2.50 to make something that looks so high end. And like I said, don't judge because I got my candle wick off center and my candle over full. But I think they're pretty and it'll burn down because I am going to use this because they smell fantastic. And those wax melts I did pick up at Walmart and they are called Southern Eucalyptus.
So I got these little oval shaped wood pieces from the Dollar Tree. I had found them in the woodpile section. And I was going to do something for Easter for them, but never got around to it. So here we are into fall. And I'm just going to remove those tags. Then I'm just going to take a little sander and sand off any of that sticky residue and just smooth it out and then wipe off the excess. And then I've got some napkins here. One I had picked up from the Dollar Tree, the other from Hobby Lobby. All right, this is the napkin I got from the Dollar Tree. It's just a 2-ply, so just remove the 1 excess ply. This other one from Hobby Lobby is a 3-ply, so I am going to have 2 excess plies to remove before we can Mod Podge.
I'm going to go ahead and paint these first. I'm going to use Plaster by Waverly chalk paint. Okay, we got those dry.
And I'm just going to put a layer of decoupage on each of these little wood rounds or wood ovals. And then I'm going to dry down that layer of decoupage with my heat gun. And then I'm going to take my mini heat press and press that napkin onto the wood surface. And I did forget to put some parchment paper in between the napkin and my heat press. So I definitely recommend you do that just in case. And then once you get the napkins on, just be sure to sand off any of the excess. So now I'm going to take the smaller napkin and I'm going to go ahead and trim out the pumpkin image. And I'm just using these itty bitty baby scissors. They cut very well, very finely, but I hate where your fingers go into because it's so small and tight. It's just a little uncomfortable. If anybody has any recommendations on some fine cutting scissors with some wide finger holes, let me know. Now I'm just going to apply some decoupage onto the surface where I'm going to be placing that pumpkin. Unfortunately, I got this pumpkin a little too high. I wish I would have gone down a little bit lower with it, and you'll see why at the end. And once I've got that pumpkin adhered, I am going to take a layer of the decoupage, and I am going to go over all 3 wood pieces, sealing in the napkins. Okay, now I'm going to grab a ruler and I am going to push the 2 blank ones without the pumpkins on it down into that ruler to make sure that the bottoms are even with each other. And then I'm going to take some Gorilla Glue and some hot glue and I am going to place the piece with the with the pumpkin on it right in the center of those other two pieces. And I'm going to use that ruler to make sure that one is level as well.
Okay, I believe for the stem, I'm just going to use one of these Dollar Tree plunger sticks. And I just want to get an idea on how far I want that to stick up. I'm going to go ahead and draw a line on the stick. That way I can flip this over. That's how high up I want it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut right there. And you can use your preferred method of cutting. I don't want to go in the garage, so I guess I'll go ahead and use this little miter box.
All right, then I'm just gonna sand down where we cut, just getting rid of all those splinters. And I like the piece in its natural state, so I'm not even gonna paint it or stain it or nothing. But I'm just gonna take some Gorilla Glue and some hot glue once again, and we're just gonna adhere that to the pumpkin.
And then as far as a stand, I've just got the backs off of some old picture frames from Dollar Tree, as a matter of fact. And I'm going to just pull that off of that backing.
And before you adhere that stand on the back, you just want to make sure you've got it in the right area by holding that pumpkin up and making sure it rests where you want it to. And then I just mark where I plan on gluing it. Now, when I glued this, I used the Gorilla Glue and the hot glue, but I think I got the hot glue on top of some of that Gorilla Glue, so it didn't stick very well. That piece ended up falling off. So definitely pay attention on how you adhere this. Maybe just try using the hot glue on its own.
And now we have a stand for it.
So that napkin had the words blessed and thankful on it. So I decided to use my water pen and go around those words. That way I can tear it, kind of giving it a little bit of a jagged edge, rustic appearance. And then I'm just going to go ahead and Mod Podge that onto the pumpkin.
Okay, so that's what I got so far. And that's where I just used that napkin. Now, if you don't like that look, and I really kind of wish I would have thought of this before, I had found these little letter stamps at the Dollar Tree. They would be small enough that you could make your own little saying on there. They have uppercase and lowercase of each font style.
And then I felt like it just needed a little bit of distressing along the edges. And I've got this distressed ink that I picked up off of Amazon. I will try to link this in the description box below, but I'm just going to go around the edges. I accidentally got some on the front and I thought, we'll just make it work. So I just applied some around the top and then used a stencil brush just to kind of smooth it out.
Okay, so I picked this pickup at Hobby Lobby. It was 40% off of $3. I wish I'd have grabbed more because these are gorgeous.
So I'm just going to trim off 2 of the leaves and 2 of those little berry pieces. And when I get the pieces off, I'm going to take a leaf and the berry piece, and I'm just going to combine those together by wrapping the stem part of the leaf around the berry stem. And then I'm just going to take those 2 pieces and twist them together, making a little swag and just forming it how I want it to lay.
All right, so I've got some ribbon, I've got some burlap, and I've got some fabric. Fabric I just tore. This I'd cut in half to give me about 2 1-inch strips. This one, I believe I picked this one up before. It was either Hobby Lobby or Dollar Tree. This is Hobby Lobby, and this is fabric that was in a fat quarter bundle from Hobby Lobby.
And now I originally was not going to make any kind of messy bow for this. I was just going to do a simple ribbon with the green ribbon that I had gotten from Hobby Lobby, but I'm a little extra at times. Usually I like simple, but this time I went a little extra and decided this needed a messy bow. And then I just kind of fanned those ribbon pieces down. Now I'm just going to adhere it with some hot glue to the pumpkin, right where the pumpkin and the stem meet one another.
And there we have it. It is all finished. What do you guys think about that one? I think it turned out really pretty. I'm not sure if I overdid it with all the ribbon, if it's too much, or I don't know. I think it's still pretty. Okay, and this next one, you're going to need a 1/2 inch by 36 wood square, and you'll just need one for this project. We're going to go ahead and reuse another piece of canvas that I once cut off of an 8 by 10 canvas from the Dollar Tree. Just to let you know, this canvas measures 6 7/8 of an inch across, and then 8 7/8 of an inch down, just so you have an idea. But you're gonna take this square dowel and you are going to cut 4 pieces. 2 are gonna be for the sides and 2 are gonna be for the top and bottom. And I just went ahead and mitered mine. I need to give it a little bit of a quick sand first, but I went ahead and mitered mine. If you feel more comfortable doing straight cuts, then by all means, do straight cuts. I'm still getting used to these mitered edges on my miter saw, and you don't need a miter saw. You can do this on a miter box, but I'm still, because every time I cut one, I seem to cut them backwards. So I have to kind of take these out there and play around with them. But if you feel better doing the straight corners, then by all means, do the straight or the straight edges, where the 2 pieces just butt up to one another. But if you do the mitered edges, this is what we're going to have right there. Oh, perfect. I love it. Okay, so I need to attach these first and foremost. And I'm going to use some Gorilla Wood Glue and a little bit of hot glue just to get it to stick temporarily while the wood glue dries. I have just a little broken off piece of wood skewer. I use these a lot. A lot, it seems like.
Then I'm just going to apply that wood glue, leaving just a little area so I can put the hot glue on.
You're definitely going to wipe away any of that hot glue that oozes on through, and any wood glue, especially if you want to stain it.
So I just grabbed my staple gun, and you're going to use a 1/4 inch staples, and I am just going to fasten that canvas to the frame. And I just like to start off in the corners, and you want to make sure you get that canvas nice and tight. Make sure you don't staple your fingers.
All right, got us a little piece of canvas here. Now, if you want, you can. And you know what? I shouldn't have done that, but that's okay. I'll use my mini heat press. Before you put the wood frame on, if you want to use a press, a larger press, to put your fonts on or any graphics on, then press it before you apply the wood frame, because that's going to make it impossible to press it. If you have a mini heat press, you can do what I'm getting ready to do. And I'm just going to put mine on low.
Now I made this on my Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to go ahead and make this a shareable project on Cricut Design Space, and I'll put the link in the description box.
Okay, I've got some paper leaves I found at Hobby Lobby. I picked up like 3 packs of them. I thought they were pretty cheap, but I thought they were so pretty. Just little paper leaves. And that is what I'm going to want to use in here. So before I press this down, I do want to make sure that these are going to fit no problem.
Now on my design, I am going to include some leaves that you can cut out with your machine. So if you don't want to use these paper leaves, then that is going to be an option as well.
So yeah, that's going to be perfect. I really wish I wouldn't have put this frame on there. I would have loved to have pressed this.
And next I'm just going to put the little pumpkins down. And when I press them, I'm going to use a piece of parchment paper so I don't mess up the fonts that are on there.
All right, and if you're going to use the leaves, the iron-on leaves, then definitely do that. Okay, I am just going to use hot glue. If you're sensitive to hot glue, just grab you a little finger protector. Oh, how fun is that? That is so fun. I love it. Love it. I love it. That is so pretty. And the last thing to do is to put a hanger on the back of it.
And I'm just putting these hangers on that I bought from Amazon. I'll put a link in the description box if you're interested. But honestly, I really wish these were the ones that you can just hammer in and not screw in. That would have been so much easier.
You have to let me know which of today's projects was your all's favorite. Leave me a comment down below.